everyone, welcome back to Sadak, the Achievers. So all of you, today we will be continuing our first chapter of chemistry, that is atomic structure. So in this, today we are in the lecture number 6, right? So before, in this chapter of atomic structure, we have discussed the subatomic particles, right? What are the subatomic particles? Electrons, neutrons, protons, and their properties, and how we have discovered them, and how the properties of these subatomic particles were also calculated, that we have already seen in the subatomic particles part, right? And later we have started these atomic models, right? So in that atomic models, we have started we have discussed the Thomson model, right? And there were what are the we say postulates of the Thomson model, and what are the drawbacks of that Thomson model, right? To eliminate the drawbacks of this Thomson model, Rutherford gave the improved version, or we say improved model, that is nothing but the Rutherford's nuclear model of the atom, right? And he also had some drawbacks in his model. So to overcome the drawbacks of that Rutherford model, Bohr given the model of the hydrogen atom, right? What is in the previous lecture we have discussed the Bohr's model for the hydrogen atom, right? And the what are the scientific developments which help Bohr to give his model, that we also discussed, right? And if you can now just see the what we have discussed in the previous lecture, that is nothing but the major failures, or we say the major drawbacks of the Bohr's model. So what are that? If you can list out the first drawback of the Bohr's model, is nothing but the Bohr's model could not able to explain the finer details, right? He was not able to explain the model of the atom, that is nothing but the hydrogen atom's model, right? The finer details of that structure of that hydrogen atom he was not able to explain, right? And in the second case, we can say that he was not able to form, or we say explain the structure of the atoms which are having the two electrons, like more than one electron atoms. For example, he was not able to explain the helium atom and his spectral formation, how the helium atom is forming the spectral lines, that were also not explained by this Bohr's model, right? So Bohr's, what are the drawbacks, right? So after this, third point, or the third main drawback of this Bohr's model is nothing but he was not able to explain how these spectral lines are splitting, or why these spectral lines are splitting in the presence of magnetic field, that is called as the Zeeman effect. Yes. And he was not able to explain the Stark effect also. Yes or no? Stark effect kuda explain cheyalekapayadu. What is the Stark effect? Electric field lo ee spectral lines అనేవి ఎందుకు స్ప్లిట్ అవుతున్నాయి, why, how, ఎలా అవి స్ప్లిట్ అవుతున్నాయి అనే విషయాన్ని కూడా ఇతను ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయలేదు, రైట్? వాట్ ఈస్ దట్ మ్యాగ్నెటిక్ ఫీల్డ్ అనేది? మ్యాగ్నెటిక్ ఫీల్డ్ లో జీమన్ ఎఫెక్ట్, ఇన్ మ్యాగ్నెటిక్ ఫీల్డ్ స్పెక్ట్రల్ లైన్స్ ఎలా స్ప్లిట్ అవుతున్నాయి, అండ్ ద ఎలక్ట్రికల్ ఫీల్డ్ ఆల్సో, in electrical field also, how these spectral lines are splitting, that was not able to, means he was not able to explain that effects also, right? And he was also not able to explain the helium spectral, and the finer details were also not explained by him. And another point that we have discussed, what is that? How the atoms are forming the bonds, right? If we can just clearly speak about it, how the chemical bonds are formed between the, right, atoms of different elements, or different molecules, right? Chemical bonds were also not explained by the Bohr's model, right? So to eliminate these drawbacks, or we can say to give the proper explanation of these effects and the formations of the spectral lines of the helium atom, and the finer details of the hydrogen atom also, and how the bonds are formed between the two different atoms, or the two same kinds of atoms, to have the complete idea or the clear clarification on the each and every topic here, we needed a better atomic structure. Yes or no? So for that, what happened? Scientists tried to give their own theories, and in that process, what happened? We have come into the quantum mechanical model. We have came into the quantum mechanical model. So before this quantum mechanical model, what are the properties of it? Today's class we will be looking at what are the major scientific developments which led or which helped to form the quantum mechanical model, right? So if I can list out the first scientific development which helped to form the quantum mechanical model, that is nothing but the dual nature of dual nature of right dual nature of what is that, not the radiation, right? It is about the matter. Into the dual nature of matter. Matter ki two property, two natures ఉన్నాయి. ఏంటిది అది? అది ఎలా ఎగ్జిస్టెన్స్ లోకి వచ్చింది? That we will going to see here. And second major scientific development, that is nothing but the scientist Heisenberg proposed a principle, that is nothing but the Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Uncertainty principle. Right? So dual nature of matter and Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. ఈ రెండు సైంటిఫికల్ డెవలప్మెంట్స్ అనేవి ఈ క్వాంటమ్ మెకానికల్ మోడల్ని కంప్లీట్ స్ట్రక్చర్గా మనకి ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయడానికి ఇవి రెండు హెల్ప్ చేశాయి అన్నమాట. రైట్? సో ఫస్ట్ వన్ ఏంటిది? డ్యూయల్ నేచర్ ఆఫ్ మ్యాటర్ అండ్ హైజెన్బర్గ్స్ అన్సర్టెనిటీ ప్రిన్సిపల్ హియర్. సో ఈ సైంటిఫికల్ డెవలప్మెంట్స్ ఏ విధంగా, రైట్, వాట్ ఈస్ ద we say exact relation between the Bohr's model as well as the next quantum mechanical model, and how these two scientific experiments, or we say the developments, help this. Let's understand it clearly. What is this main two developments first of all, right? So first point, we'll start with the dual behavior or the dual nature of the matter, right? In previous lectures we have discussed the dual nature of electromagnetic radiation, nothing but the photons, or the nothing but the dual nature of the electrons that we have discussed, right? So how this matter will be having this dual behavior, right? So if you can see that, we know that, so whatever the light that we have or the photons that we have, right? So that photons, right, photons are nothing but the light, right? So these photons have the two natures, that is dual nature. This has the dual nature, yes or no? Photons has the dual nature. What are the dual natures? Enti are two dual natures enti manaki, right? First emo particle nature, right? And inkoti, what is that? Wave nature. Inkoti wave nature. So ఈ two natures అనేవి photons కున్నాయి. Photons are nothing but the light, right, or a beam of light, right, or the radiation, or we call it as a radiation also. Avuna? So these all having this dual nature, right? So the scientist name, he proposed that, the scientist name de Broglie, the scientist name de Broglie. So the scientist named de Broglie in the year 1924, if you can say, right, he proposed that as these photons or the radiation has the dual nature, the matter also, or we say matter, all the particles, right, matters are also has the dual nature. Dual nature. సో ఏమంటున్నాడు అతను? మ్యాటర్ కూడా డ్యూయల్ నేచర్ కలిగి ఉంటుంది అని అంటున్నాడు. ఏంటి అవి డ్యూయల్ నేచర్? సేమ్ పార్టికల్ నేచర్ అండ్ ది వేవ్ నేచర్. సో ఏ పార్టికల్ తీసుకున్నా, ఏ పదార్థం తీసుకున్నా, ఏ అణువు తీసుకున్నా కానీ ప్రతి పార్ట్ అనేది, ప్రతి అణువు డ్యూయల్ నేచర్ కలిగి ఉంటుంది అని చెప్పేసి డి బ్రోగ్లీ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేశాడనమాట. ఏమన్నాడు? ఈ డ్యూయల్ నేచర్ ఆఫ్ మ్యాటర్స్ ఆర్ ది పార్టికల్ యొక్క డ్యూయల్ నేచర్ని అతను ఒక ఫార్ములా తోటి ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయడానికి ట్రై చేశాడనమాట. వాట్ ఈస్ దట్? హీ సెడ్ దట్ as these photons and the radiations, right, these two are having what? They have the wavelength. Avuna? Wavelength untundi kada vatiki? They have the wavelength, that is lambda, right? As well as these radiations, right, they have the, what is that? They have the velocity. They have the velocity. Avuna? Vatiki velocity untundi, wavelength kuda untundi. Same manner, right? However, these photons and radiations are having this wavelength and velocity. The matter is also having a dual nature, and they are also having the wavelength. They are also having the wavelength lambda and the velocity. velocity v here. Okay, so ఈ అజంప్షన్ ఆర్ బై దిస్ ప్రపోజల్ అతను ఏమన్నాడు, అతను ఒక ఫార్ములాని డిరైవ్ చేశాడనమాట. ఏంటి ఆ ఫార్ములా? సో ఇఫ్ ఐ కెన్ రైట్ దట్ ఫార్ములా సింప్లీ, ద వేవ్ లెంత్ ఈజ్ నథింగ్ బట్ ది హెచ్ బై మాస్ ఇంటూ వెలాసిటీ. హెచ్ బై మాస్ ఇంటూ వెలాసిటీ. సో దిస్ ఫార్ములా ఈజ్ గివెన్ బై ద సైంటిస్ట్ నేమ్ డి బ్రోగ్లీ. Okay, so de Broglie's wavelength formula, right? Whatever the formula that he has given, this formula has the experimental results also, or we say this formula has been proven true by experiments also. Experimentally this is proven. Means when experiments are performed, this formula was following, or we say the experimental results are followed by this formula. Okay, so this is what the formula given by de Broglie to explain the dual behavior of matter. So he said that matter is having the dual nature. Okay, matter is having the dual nature, and it has the wavelength, it has the velocity, and the relation between the velocity and the wavelength of these matters can be found by this formula, that is lambda equals to h by mv. So what is here h? H is nothing but the Planck's constant that we have already known, right? So this is the Planck's constant, this is the mass of the electron, or we say the mass of the matters, right? Whatever the matter that you take, and this is the velocity of the matter, how speed that matter is traveling, right? And the lambda here, right? So we know that if any object, right, if any object is in motion, it will have the wave. So we can say that whatever the object that we are saying, right, he said that the conclusions, or we say the important points given by him, that is first one is each and every object, each and every particle, right? So each particle has, right, which is in the motion. Each particle which is in motion, right, means it is moving, right? Oka edaina oka particle, any particle, every particle, right, which is in motion will have the wave nature, So as it is having wave nature means what? If it is having wave nature, then it will have the wavelength. So what will be the wavelength of each and every particle that he is taking? So he said that the particles, the macro level particles, right, size lo peddaga unna particles, right, like if you take any particle, like which are the larger in size, larger particles, right? So ఈ larger particles యొక్క wavelength ఎలా ఉంటుంది? లాంబ్డా అనేది చాలా చిన్నగా ఉంటుంది. ఎందుకు? స్మాలర్, very small. That's why it is not visible, or we say the calculation part, or to find the wavelength of these larger particles will be very difficult. So it is, the wavelength is very smaller here. And he said that, so the particles which are very small, like the micro level particles, like the subatomic particles, like if you can take the subatomic particles, so the subatomic particles have the wavelength, and that is, right, the wavelength of the subatomic particles can be found by the experiments, like we have done the experiments, right? So by experiments we can find it. Experiment we can find, right? But the wavelength of this larger particle is very small, so it won't be, means can't be calculated, can't be found with, we say the wavelength of this larger particle cannot be found with accuracy, or we say it is very difficult to found that, right? So these are the major points that we have explained. So he said that the photons has the dual nature, that is nothing but the wave nature. So whenever the electron right? Whenever the photon is moving in a speed, or if a object is in moving, right, the photons are moving, it has a dual nature, that is wavelength and velocity will also be there. So de Broglie given the formula, right, that is nothing but lambda equals to h by mv. So he said that, so in case of the all the particles, right, each and every particle which is in motion will have the wave nature. So that is the main, we say, the assumption and the proposal made by this de Broglie, right? So if you make that, or if you observe the particle, like as he's saying that each particle, so now take the particle, right, whatever the particle that we are saying, right, particle, right, that particle is nothing but the, if you can observe that, or if you can compare any particle as the electrons, as the electrons. So what I am doing here, so I said that if you take the particle as the electron, so electron became the particle here. So in the electron, if our electron is a particle, so how these electrons are behaving or has the wave nature. So that is what he said, that wave nature. So that can be found by, so whenever if you take a beam of electrons, beam of electron means nothing but the beam of the light, like we have said. So we have taken so many electrons, right? So beam of electrons. So this beam of electrons, when you try to perform the experiments, or we say when you're trying to send this beam of electrons in a path, and if you are trying to change the density or the properties of the path followed by this beam of electrons, then what happens? Because of the, as the light or the photons get deflected, right, get diffracted, so same way the beam of electrons will also get diffracted. Diffracted means they will change their wave motion, or they will change their direction of the motion. So they are diffracted. So we can say that this will give us the, right, this will give us the wave nature. So that is how we can find out the electrons will also have the, or are also having the wave nature here. Okay, so these are behaving as the wave. So depending on this experimental result, right, we have the electronic microscope. We have the electronic microscope. So that electronic microscope has been invented by this beam of electrons property. So this electronic microscope, that is nothing but the, not the electrical microscope, it is electronic, means by the electrons we are using the properties of the electrons, how they are diffracted, depending on that we are using the microscope, right? So this property of this microscope is very huge comparing to the regular microscope that we have, right? The normal microscope that we have, it is working on the wave nature of the light, right? The normal microscope, right? Normal microscope that we have, it is working on the wave nature of light. But my electronic microscope is working on the wave nature of the electrons, and this electron microscope has the magnificence capacity that is around, if you can see that, 15 million times than normal microscope. The electronic microscope has the magnificence that is 15 million times magnificence, means we can zoom in, right? We can zoom in and see the smaller objects which are 15 million smaller than the object that we can see by a normal microscope. Magnificence of this electronic microscope is 15 million times. So by using that property, whatever the proposal made by de Broglie can be proved right, or can be proved true. So depending on his dual nature of matter, we have few problems here. Let us see how we can find these properties by using his one of the proposals, right? So first one here, example 1. So what will be the wavelength of a ball of mass, right, which has 0.1 kg, right, which is moving with a velocity of 10 meter per second. So here, what are the given data? So if you can just start with the given data, right? Ikkada given data emundi. First is mass, right? Mass is how much? 0.1 kg. Avuna? And the velocity v is equals to 10 meter per second. Avuna? So మనకి ఏం అడిగాడు? వేవ్ లెంత్ అడిగాడు. సో వాట్ ఈస్ ద లాంబ్డా? సో దిస్ ఈజ్ హౌ యూ హ్యావ్ టు అప్రోచ్ ఎనీ సింపుల్ క్వశ్చన్ ఆల్సో ఇట్ మే బి యూ హ్యావ్ టు అప్రోచ్ ఇన్ దిస్ మేనర్. సో ఇలా స్టెప్ బై స్టెప్ చేయడం వల్ల ఏమవుతుంది, ఎంత చిన్న ప్రాబ్లం అయినా కానివ్వండి, ఎంత ఈజీ ప్రాబ్లం అయినా కానివ్వండి, మీరు ఇలా ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయడం ఇప్పుడు స్టార్ట్ చేస్తే, రైట్, ఇన్ ఎగ్జామ్ you don't need to follow this step, but your mind automatically see, okay, what are the given, okay, this given, now we don't have this, so he's asking this, now what the formula that we can use. So to find this lambda, right, what is that? We have by the de Broglie's formula, that is h by mass into velocity. Okay, simply to find this, okay, what the formulas that we have. So ఒకసారి గుర్తు చేసుకోగానే మీకు ఈ ఫార్ములా మైండ్లోకి వస్తుంది, రైట్. When this formula struck in your mind, you will write the formula. So we'll see what are the unknowns here. So we have to find out this. So do we have all the parameters, the known parameters in the other part of this question? Let us see. So what is this h? H is nothing but the Planck's constant that we know, right? Mass is given, velocity is given, right? So we can, by using this simple formula, we can find this lambda here. So what is that? So lambda, substitute cheyandi ikkada values. H value is how much? Planck's constant enta? 6.626 into 10 to the power of minus 34 joules second. అవునా? నౌ నెక్స్ట్ మాస్ ఎంత ఇక్కడ? మాస్ ఈజ్ 0.1 kg. సో ఇట్ ఈస్ ఇన్ SI unit, so need not to change it. Next is velocity is 10 meter per second. It is also in SI unit. We need not to change it, meter per second. అయిపోయిందా? సో ఇప్పుడు దీన్ని సింప్లిఫై చేయండి. ఈజీ సింప్లిఫికేషన్. ఏంటిది అది చూడండి ఒకసారి. 0.1 into 10 హౌ మచ్? 1, రైట్. అండ్ 6. సో ఇక్కడ ఏమీ లేదు, ఇక్కడ కూడా ఏమీ లేదు. సో డైరెక్ట్లీ విల్ గెట్ ద సేమ్ ఆన్సర్ హియర్, అవునా కదా? సో ద లాంబ్డా ఈజ్ 6.626 into 10 to the power of minus 34 meters. So the lambda value has been got as the 6.26 into 10 to the power of minus 34 meters is the wavelength which has the electron, the ball of mass which has a 0.1 kg and the velocity of 10 meter per second. So this is how you have to approach any question, and this is how the de Broglie's formula will be helpful us. Next one, another example. So the mass of an electron is given, that is we know 9.1 in 10 to the power of minus 31 kg, and the kinetic energy is also given, right, 5.0 into 10 to the power of minus 25 joules, right. So calculate its wavelength, right. So we'll start with the first step. What is the first step? Given data. గివెన్ డేటా ఏంటిది? గివెన్ డేటాలో ఏమేమి ఉన్నాయి ఇప్పుడు చెప్పండి. ఫస్ట్ వన్ ఈస్ ద మాస్ ఆఫ్ ది ఎలక్ట్రాన్. సో డైరెక్ట్లీ మాస్ ఆఫ్ ది ఎలక్ట్రాన్ ఈజ్ 9.1 into 10 to the power of minus 31 kg. అయిందా? నెక్స్ట్ ఏంటిది? కైనెటిక్ ఎనర్జీ ఇచ్చాడు. సో కైనెటిక్ ఎనర్జీ రాసుకోండి. 5.0 into 10 to the power of minus 25 joules. Okay. And what is asking? So given data is over. Now is asking about the wavelength. సో ఇప్పుడు ఏం చేయాలి? మనం రివర్స్లో వెళ్ళాలి. వేవ్ లెంత్ కావాలి కదా. సో వేవ్ లెంత్ ఫార్ములా ఏంటిది? h by mass into velocity, అవునా? సో now cross check again. Previously what we have done in the previous solution, same thing. Do we have the h? Right, we know the h. Do we know the mass? Right, we know the mass. But do we know the velocity here? So velocity is not given, only the kinetic energy is given. So how do we find out this velocity? So to find out this velocity, once go and check what are the given data that we have. So if you can see that clearly he has given the kinetic energy. So we know that kinetic energy formula, right, that is kinetic energy equals to half mv square. అరే half mv square ఫార్ములా మనకు తెలుసు కదా. సో అందులో v వాల్యూ కావాలి, kinetic energy తెలుసు, మాస్ కూడా తెలుసు. సో ఈజీలీ వీ కెన్ ఫైండ్ అవుట్ ది v, అవునా? సో జస్ట్ చేంజ్ దట్ ఫార్ములా హియర్. So to find that v square, right, so what I am doing, let us start from again here. So what is that? kinetic energy is equals to half mv square. అవునా? సో అందులో v కావాలి కదా మనకి. సో నేనేం చేస్తున్నాను, v square is equals to 2ని ఇక్కడ తీసుకురండి, dividing it will multiply. So 2 into kinetic energy, అవునా, divided by 2 into kinetic energy divided by this mass, because it is multiplying here, so it is going to this direction. So what happens, it will divide here, right? So this is v square. So it will become v is equals to 2 into kinetic energy, avuna, divided by m whole power 1 by 2. So I am sending this to this side. Okay, so this is what the v formula that we have. So now if you can find out the v, and if you can substitute in this formula, we can get the lambda here. So we'll start with the first part. What is that velocity? So to find the velocity, v equals to 2 into kinetic energy is how much? 5.0 into 10 to the power of minus 25 joules divided by mass. Mass is how much? Mass enta 9.1 into 1 into 10 to the power of minus 31 kg, right? Whole power 1 by 2. Don't forget this. Avuna? So by simplifying this whole part will be around 1.099 into 10 to the power of minus 6, right? And that will be, sorry, this is plus 6, and that will be 1 by 2. So the v value that we'll be getting is around, the v value is 1048 meter per second. So this is what the v value that we'll be getting here. Velocity of the electron is 1048 meter per second here. So this is the half part is over, right? Now next part, what is the next part that we have? Now we have to substitute this v value in this formula, right? So e formula substitute chese mana lambda vastundi. So lambda is equals to, right, h by mv. So what is the h? Planck's constant, 6.626 into 10 to the power of minus 34 divided by mass. Mass enta 9.1 into 10 to the power of 9.1 into 10 to the power of minus 31 avuna kg into what is the v? V is 1048 meter per second, right? So by simplifying this, right, you will be getting 6.948, right, into 10 to the power of minus 7 meters, or we can say 6948 into 10 to the power of minus 10 meters. So that is nothing but 694.8 nanometers. So the lambda is equals to 694.8 nanometers. 694.8 nanometers. So this is how we use the formulas given, or we say we analyze the atoms or the particles or the matters by using the dual nature of the matter. So by given by de Broglie formula, we can find the what, depending on the mass of the particle, depending on the velocity of the particle, we can find the wavelength. That is what we have discussed here, right? What we have said that. So if the particle has the larger particle, the wavelength, or we say the lambda, that is wavelength, is smaller and it can't be found, right? And but the subatomic particles, as it is having the less mass, right, the lambda can be found by experiment, right, by calculations and the by experiments that we have can found. See here. So if you can observe that this lambda here, so when the lambda or the wavelength of the particle will be more, so h, this is a constant, so that won't be changing. Mass and velocity, depending on these two, this lambda will be increasing, right, if mass is decreasing. Means lesser the mass of the particle, the wavelength will be more. Means it is lighter particle, right, so it will move more. Same way this lambda, right, so this lambda and v is what? The velocity. So what is the relation here? So this lambda will increase when the velocity will be increasing or the decreasing. It will also be decreasing. Means ఇక్కడ చూడండి మీరు, lambda is, if you can sum up this here, lambda is inversely proportional to mass as well as lambda is inversely proportional to velocity, right? As, and you can also write this lambda, right, that is into the form of h by p here, where p is nothing but the momentum, mass into velocity, right? So we can say that, so whatever the wavelength, velocity, or the, we can also add the momentum of that. Velocity nothing but the momentum, antena. Momentum ante the mass into velocity. So if any particle that we are talking, it will have the mass. So if it is having velocity, means that is nothing but the momentum here. So it will also have the mass, velocity, and the momentum p here. Okay, so this is about the dual behavior of matter. Okay, so next we have the Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, right? So this principle is nothing but the consequence of the property that we have discussed, that is nothing but the dual nature of the matter. So this is nothing but the consequence of dual nature of matter. Okay, so this principle is given by the scientist named Werner Heisenberg, right, in the year 1927. Okay, so he proposed the theory, or we say he gave the principle, that is nothing but it is impossible to locate or to find the velocity, right, of a electron, right, simultaneously. Means at one particular point, at the same time point, at the same point of the time, you cannot locate the electron, right, at what point is that electron, as well as what is the velocity of it. So these two simultaneously, that you cannot find it. That is what given by this uncertainty principle, which means he's saying that there is an uncertainty in the location and the velocity of a electron which is in motion. Okay, so if you can write that, it is impossible, right, it is impossible to locate, right, to locate the electron and to find the velocity, right, simultaneously. Is impossible to locate and find the velocity simultaneously, is impossible by this Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. So he's saying that there is the uncertainty that you cannot find that location as well as the velocity of the electron which is in motion. So he gave the formula, right? He said that delta x into delta v, or we say, I can change that as the momentum delta p, right, that has to be greater than or equals to h by 4 pi, right? The uncertainties, these delta x is uncertainty in the location, and delta p is nothing but the uncertainty in the momentum. So this can also be written as delta x into, right, delta of m and vx, same h by 4 pi, or we can also write delta x into m into delta v, h by 4 pi. Avuna? So h ఏంటిది ఇక్కడ Planck's constant. So this uncertainty is the velocity uncertainty and the position uncertainty. Delta x into delta v is equals to h by greater than or equals to h by 4 pi m. So this is what the principle suggests, that the uncertainty of an object, of an matter, will have the, like, we cannot locate or find the velocity at simultaneously. It will be greater than or equal to h by 4 pi m, means the product of the uncertainties here, which means that, we can say that whatever the uncertainty is there to find the simultaneous location and the velocity of that object or of that matter or the particle that we can take, he said that, see, if you can see this formula here, if delta x, right? That is nothing but the uncertainty in the position is increasing. Then what happens? It will result into the uncertainty of velocity to decrease. Means uncertainty of x is increasing, which means there is a less accuracy. అవునా? అంటే అన్సర్టనిటీ అంటే మనం పాయింట్ ఒక ఆన్సర్ని ఒక ఎగ్జాక్ట్ ఆన్సర్ ఇవ్వలేకపోతున్నాము అంటే దట్ ఈస్ లెస్ యాక్యురేట్ ఆన్సర్. సో హియర్ ద యాక్యురసీ ఈజ్ లెస్, హియర్ లెస్ యాక్యురసీ. అవునా? సో హియర్ ఏమవుతుంది? Uncertainty in the velocity is decreasing means the accuracy is increasing, more accurate. So if the uncertainty in the position is increasing, the uncertainty in the velocity will decrease, right? That is the first case that we can say. If at all same reverse it, delta v is increasing means the uncertainty in the velocity is increasing, then what happens? The uncertainty in the x, that is nothing but the position, will decrease. So the product of these two are same. That's why if you can take the normal numbers as examples here, if I can take the product is nothing but the 12 is our product, right? So this product can be written in the form of 3 into 4 or 6 into 2, which means see here the value of 6, this is our, let us say this is our x and this is our v here. Now here see delta x is increasing, increase right here. What happened? 3 to 6, it has increased, so the delta s is increased. So what happens to the velocity? That velocity has decreased here, so the velocity is decreased and the delta x is increased. Avuna? So same rule applies to here. So the product is nothing but, if you can take that, that is always greater than or equal to h by 4 pi m, right? It has this following this uncertainty here. Okay, remember this simple example. So he said that as the accuracy, right, depending on the uncertainty in the location, we can just find the velocity, or we say uncertainty in the velocity, but we cannot find the location and the velocity simultaneously. Okay, this is given by the, right, Werner Heisenberg. Okay, that is the main consequence of the dual nature of matter. By using the dual nature of matter, he has proposed this uncertainty of the rotation of the electron position in the atom. Okay, so next we have an example that this question has been asked in the EPSET 16, right? So what is that? The product of uncertainty in the velocity and uncertainty in the position of a microparticle of mass m is not less than which of the following? Means he has just asked the uncertainty principle rule. That is nothing but product of the uncertainties. Product of the uncertainties, delta x into delta v, which is not less than means greater than or equals to which of these following, right? So what is the formula that we have? h by 4 pi m. అవునా? సో ఈ ఫార్ములాని ఇక్కడ చెక్ చేయండి ఫస్ట్. సో h into 3 pi by 4. So 3 pi ఉంది, wrong. H by 3 pi into m, this is also wrong because we have 4 pi. Now this 2, see here 4 pi is there, h by 4 pi into m here we have, but here h by 4 pi into m, that here we have to have. So this is also wrong. So let us check this, h by 4 pi into 1 by m, which is nothing but h by 4 pi m. Avuna? So our answer is option C here. So to confuse you, they will change the question in this form and they will change the options also, means they will not directly give you that answers. So this is the simplest one. Still they will try to, right, make you think about it and commit the mistakes here. Okay, so here significance of uncertainty principle. First one, what is that? So this uncertainty principle rules out the Bohr's assumption or the Bohr's model postulate, that is nothing but rules out the electrons will follow the fixed path. Electrons are revolving in a fixed path. that has been ruled out, right? They are following in a fixed path in a fixed trajectory. Fixed trajectory. He said that. So the significant uncertainty principle has a significance, means it rules out the fixed path or the fixed trajectory followed by the electron or electrons or any particle, like we can take any particle which is revolving or which is in motion. So he's saying that it rules out the fixed path or the fixed trajectories will be followed by any electron or any particle, right? Which means, what do you mean by trajectory? Trajectory, right, will have a fixed location, or we say fixed path. In that we'll be having a velocity as well as the location of that. Means trajectory can be found by finding the location, right, and the velocity. So by using the two, we can find in which trajectory the electron will be moving or any particle will be moving. For example, if I say this is my initial position of the particle, right, and if I know the velocity and the position of this point here, that is, let us say that position is x here, and the velocity, that is nothing but the v. If I know these two, then by applying the physics, right, we can find out in which direction or in which trajectory the particle will be moving, with how much speed that will be moving, and what will be the next position of that particle can be found out. That is by the trajectory. So he's saying that if you take the electrons, right, if you take the electrons, right, so these are the charged bodies, right? So these electrons as the charged bodies, we cannot find the location and the velocity simultaneously. We cannot find the velocity and exemption simultaneously because these are not following the fixed trajectory. These electrons are not following the fixed trajectory here. Okay, so that is the first significance of this uncertainty principle. Second one is, this uncertainty principle is only applicable, or we see, or this uncertainty principle will be followed only by the microscopic particles. Microscopic particles. Microscopic particles. And it is only applicable to microscopic particles, but not applicable, or we say insignificance, in case of not applicable for the macroscopic particles, right? Which means nothing but we say not applicable means insignificance. Insignificant for the macroscopic particles, which means which are the larger in size. Okay, so how is that? So that will be seen by the examples. Let us see that. So what is the next significance of uncertainty principle here? So third point, what we can say here is, if you take any smaller objects or the milligram size objects or the heavier objects, heavier particles or the objects, what happens? The uncertainty will be have no consequence, means it will not change any, we say it will not have the any impact on the trajectories, or we say impact on the finding of this particles behavior, will be not having any consequences. Right, which means how? So if you take a object or a particle which is milligram mass. So the mass is how much? Milligram. Milligram. So what is the value of milligram? 10 to the power of minus 6 kg. So that is the mass. Now, if you apply the uncertainty principle on this milligram object, you will see that the delta x into delta v is equals to, or we say h by 4 pi m. Now, so if you now substitute the values here, we know the mass, we know the h Planck's constant. So what is the product of the uncertainty? You can see that 6.626 into 10 to the power of minus 34 divided by, right? So what is that? 4 into pi is 3.142 into mass is how much? 10 to the power of minus 6. So that will be how much? The product of this will be 10 to the power of around, if you can approx value, that is 10 to the power of minus 28 kg. Right? Minus 28. That is the uncertainty in this So that will be the delta x. The product of the uncertainty will be around 10 to the power of minus 28, which means very small. The uncertainty product is very small, right? So it will not affect, or it don't have any significance in considering it, right? The uncertainty of this milligram object or the heavier object, right? In the consequence of this uncertainty principle, it don't have any, or we say very less, right? Very less significance, or it cannot cause any consequences. It won't change the uncertainties or the wavelengths or the position of that particular object. Okay, so this is about the one of the examples how this milligram or heavier objects have the uncertainty is no consequences, having no consequences. Okay, and the if you can now observe the electron now in this case, if you have just observed the electron here, what happens? So same, delta x delta v, right, is equals to h by 4 pi m. M is what here? Mass of the electron, right? So what happens? 6.626 into 10 to the power of minus 34 divided by 4 into 3.142 into how much is the mass of the electron? 9.11 into 10 to the power of minus 31 kg. So ipudu the product of uncertainties in the position and the velocity will be out. So that will be around 10 to the power of, if you can just take that, right, 10 to the power of minus 31 goes up, so you will get 10 to the power of minus 4. So this value is comparing to this, it is very huge value. So it has the significance in case of mass here, in case of the lesser mass having objects. So now if you can apply this and use this product here, and let us assume the uncertainty in the position and uncertainty in the velocity. So I am assuming that uncertainty of position is something around 10 to the power of 8. So that is uncertainty of x here. So if I apply that here, so what happens? So the product is, how much is the product that I have got? 10 to the power of minus 4. So what is that? Delta x that I have assumed that as the 10 to the power of 8, right? Now into what is that? Delta v. So the delta v will be how much? Delta v will be 10 to the power of 4. 10 to the power of 4 is my uncertainty in the velocity. What happened here? If you can see that, if I am taking the electron here, which is very lighter object, right? It is giving us the uncertainty of this, and this uncertainty will be the maximum. 10 to the power of 4 is a very huge number, right? So the uncertainty is very, very high here. So depending on that, these two observations, we can say that heavier object, the uncertainties don't have any consequences because the uncertainty is very less, right? For the lighter object, the uncertainty is having a significance, so that because of that uncertainty, right, because of the quantum that we are able to take the value of here, we cannot say, right, or we have to replace the whatever the point that we have made earlier, that is nothing but the fixed path, fixed velocity, and the fixed position, or the value of the energies that we have taken. That means the approximate values that we have said, right? Or we say whatever the values that we are saying, or we say whatever the precise values that we are saying, right? Precise values of the location or the velocity, location or velocity, right? So the words means you cannot use this precise word to find the or to explain the location or the velocity. We have to replace this precise word, right? We have to replace this precise word with the probability of finding the location and the velocity. We have to replace it with probability. Probability. Why we are using this probability here? Which means this uncertainty, if you can use it here, if I take this is my nucleus, okay, this is my nucleus. So around it, I have the electron revolving like this. I don't know where the electron will be present because there is an uncertainty in the position and the velocity. So for that, what we can do here is we can use the probability. We can use the word probability. We cannot say precisely the electron will be somewhere here. We cannot say it. Okay. But we can say, right, we can find the, or we can give the probability of finding, or we can get the probability of finding that electron in this path, right, of some value. So this is the probability of finding. What is the probability of finding the electron with this much velocity? That is nothing but the, at this point, what is the probability that we can find out? Means as there is uncertainty in the position and the velocity in this case that we have seen, we cannot use the precise word for the location and the velocity. Location and the velocity, right? We have to use the word probability. Means what is the probability of finding this electron in this position, right, with this velocity, that we can use it here. So these are the significances of this uncertainty principle. This is how the uncertainty principle helped us to change the way that we are assuming the electrons positions and the fixed paths, right? So remember that things, so that we can understand by using this another example here. So what is that? The microphone, right? A microphone is using the suitable photons is employed to locate an electron that we are locating, right, with atom of distance of 0.1 angstrom units. So what is the uncertainty involved in the measurements of its velocity? So the distance is given, that is nothing but the uncertainty in the position. So that is given 0.1 angstroms. So if you can change it into meters, that will be 0.1 into 10 to the power of minus 10. What is that? Meters, right? And we have to find out what is this V. Okay, what is this V here? So here mass is nothing but the mass of the electron, 9.1 into 10 to the power of minus 31 kg is the mass. Now we have to find out this V. So we know that delta X into delta V is equals to how much? H by 4 pi m. This formula that we can use here, right? So velocity that we have to find. So to find this velocity, if you can just send this velocity to, if you can just send this X to this here, so this velocity will be, right, H by 4 pi m into delta X. As this is multiplying here, if it comes to this side, it will divide it. So now substitute these values in this formula. So delta V, right, delta V in the H value 6.626 into 10 to the power of minus 34, right, divided by 4 into pi value is how much? 3.142 into what is the mass? Mass of the electron 9.1 into 10 to the power of minus 31 into what is the delta x, that is 0.1 into 0.1 into 10 to power of minus 10. Okay, so if you can just simplify this value, right, so you will be getting around 0.579 into 10 to the power of minus 7, right, meters per second. So that can be written in the form of 5.79 into 10 to the power of minus 6, sorry, this is plus 6 plus 7 plus 6 meter per second. So this is our delta V. So the uncertainty in velocity is 5.79 into 10 to the power of 6 meter per second for the electrons. So you can see that how much uncertainty that we are able to see here in the velocity, right? Small uncertainty in the position, right? It is giving the highest uncertainty in the velocity. Okay. So this is about the example problems. So what are the reasons for the failure of the Bohr's model? Just once have a glance on this, right? So first point that we have discussed, what is that? So depending on the uncertainty principle and the dual nature of the matter, that we can see that the Bohr's model has been failed in giving the fixed path. Like we have discussed that the atoms or the electrons are having a fixed path, right? Electrons are having a fixed path, right? So this postulate or this proposal made by this Bohr model is not applicable. It is not true, because just now we have discussed that whatever these atoms that we have or the electrons that are rotating, right, they have the, right, we just now discussed that, and because of the uncertainty principle, the position or the location and the velocity, right, we cannot find it simultaneously. Simultaneously we cannot find the location and the velocity. So as we are not able to find the location and the velocity simultaneously, we cannot say that if any electron which is rotating here will be at this position, or will be, right, we will be following this particular path or this particular path, that we cannot say, right? So that is not possible. So in this case the Bohr's model is failed. Okay, and next point, that another point that we can say here is the first part that we have discussed, that is dual nature of matter. So in this dual nature of matter we have two natures. What is that? Particle nature, right? And second one is we have the wave nature. అవునా, ఈ two natures ఉన్నాయి కదా dual nature లో. But this Bohr's model, right, he was able to explain this particle nature of matter, right, that is nothing but the electron that he have used, but he was not able to explain this wave nature of the matter, right? So because of these failures, two major failures that we can talk here, right, and another failures that we have also seen, the spectral lines and everything. So just by the two major scientific developments that we have seen, what are the dual nature of matter as well as the fixed path, that is nothing but the uncertainty principle here. So if you can see that the locations of the velocity cannot be found simultaneously, so that was not possible by the Bohr's model. So that also one of the failures, right, major failure. And this dual nature of matter also, in which he has explained the particle nature, but he was not able to explain this wave nature. So to overcome these two, right, to give the complete idea or to overcome these two failures of this Bohr's model, we have introduced nothing but the quantum mechanical model. Quantum mechanical model of the atom. Okay, so what is this quantum mechanical model, and what are the properties, and how we have just able to explain with complete details of this structure of an atom, that will be see in the next lecture. Okay, so all of you, I hope you are following all the DPPs, and if you have any doubts in the DPPs, or if any solution that you are not able to solve, you can mail to our email ID, that is sadak@sadak the achievers @gmail.com. right? And we have all of our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter accounts. There you can follow us, right? And all of you, please subscribe our YouTube channel, subscribe, and also try to click on the bell symbol so that you will get the notification whenever our new lectures will be uploaded. Okay, so this is our today's quote: education is not the learning of facts but the training of the mind to think. So we have to learn this all the things in our education life so that we can have our thought process, that is nothing but to think it, how our mind will think about each and every particle that we are seeing, each and every situation that will help us. So that education should help us to think, right? Our mind should be able to think. So this is our today's lecture, all of you. Thank you so much, and we'll meet in the next lecture. Thank you.